Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and Restless Bombshell, Mariah's dark secret is tied to spoiler and the truth changes everything. We thought we knew Young and Restless. Mariah is harboring a secret so horrible that she can't even confide in her closest loved ones. We all assumed she'd cheated, but the truth is much darker and more consequential. So much so that it changes everything we thought would happen. When Mariah returned to Genoa City from her business trip for Cassidy first, she was clearly a different woman than she left. Her emotions got the best of her when she reunited with her wife, Tessa, who could sense something was off. The same held true for her mother, Sharon, who sat her rattled daughter down for a chat. Mariah confessed she had done something so terrible whilst on her trip that she couldn't even believe it herself, and she definitely couldn't tell her wife. It came out that Mariah had been struggling with guilt over Ian Ward's reinvasion of their lives and the damage he'd wrought on her loved ones. The unbearable feelings led her first to the hotel room's minibar, and then to the well-stocked full-size version, presumably in the hotel lounge. This was pretty much the extent of the information she shared with her mother, leaving us all to assume she'd cheated on Tessa while under the influence. But when she next appeared on screen, another piece of the puzzle emerged, and it was a doozy. Mariah had been approached by someone whilst intoxicated, but not by a hot lesbian temptress or even a handsome business type. Instead, it was an older man who featured in Mariah's flashbacks. He walked up and mused, "You look like you could use a friend." Well, this just left us, frankly, with a bad case of the creeps. Not just because he was hitting on a drunk woman sitting alone, but because he was giving. We hesitated to even think it, but cult-y Ian Ward vibes. This is where the nature of the story becomes darker and graver, with Ian being so much at the forefront of Mariah's thoughts and nightmares ahead of her business trip. It wasn't long before we began to speculate that, in her drunken state, Mariah at some point mistook this man for Ian. Our worst suspicions were all but confirmed when Mariah told Tessa that it wouldn't be safe for her to tell her the truth about what happened that night. The only reason she would say that is if a crime was committed and she didn't want to make her wife an accessory after the fact. Our worst suspicions were all but confirmed when Mariah told Tessa that it wouldn't be safe for her to tell her the truth about what happened that night. The only reason she would say that is if a crime was committed and she didn't want to make her wife an accessory after the fact. Did Mariah commit murder? It certainly seems as though that could be her dark secret. Depending on how long it takes to come to life, it could still negatively affect her marriage, and even drive Tessa into the arms of her new confidant, Daniel. However, once the reality of the horror Mariah's been dealing with is revealed, we're certain her wife will want to support her, whatever she will be facing. With the truth being so consequential and life-changing, the implications will be different than if she'd merely had a one-night stand. Mariah has some heavy drama ahead of them, SOAPS readers. Every now and then, The Young and the Restless drops a twist so heavy, it doesn't just shake one storyline, it rewrites history. This week, fans found themselves on the receiving end of just such a bombshell as Mariah Copeland's long-suspected secret finally came to light and revealed a link that no one, not even the most dedicated Genoa City conspiracy theorists, could have predicted. What was once thought to be just a private burden tied to Mariah's past turned out to be the key to one of the show's most dangerous and shadowy legacies. Because not only does Mariah's secret change how we see her, it rewrites the origin story of someone else entirely. Who's the spoiler? None other than Claire Grace. Yes, that Claire. The same Claire who's been carving out a fresh identity as Victoria's long-lost daughter, trying to walk the line between redemption and ruin. Turns out she wasn't as far from Mariah's world as we were led to believe. This is a secret that could explode both families and bind them together in ways that are as disturbing as they are inescapable. Let's dive deep into what just dropped, how the show masterfully layered this reveal, and why it changes everything. We thought we knew about the Copelands, the Newmans, and Claire. For weeks, we knew something was off with Mariah. She's been pacing, avoiding questions, struggling to make eye contact with Tessa, Sharon, and even Faith. The tension has been building. But Y&R played the long game, teasing a backstory reveal without tipping its hand. There were breadcrumbs, vague references to Mariah's time in hiding, inconsistencies in stories about the years before she came to Genoa City. A strange conversation with a woman from her cult days that ended with a cryptic, "You still haven't told them, have you?" But now we know why she was spiraling, and the answer is far darker than even Sharon could have imagined. The secret: Mariah once knew Claire, but by another name. In a jaw-dropping moment at the Newman Ranch, Mariah accidentally comes face-to-face with Claire, and visibly recoils. Viewers were quick to catch the stunned look, the panic, and the clear recognition. It doesn't take long before the truth starts to come out in pieces at first, then in full force. Years ago, during the height of her estrangement from Sharon, and her identity crisis after growing up under Ian Ward's control, Mariah encountered a little girl being kept off the grid at a remote commune. The child's name back then, Evelyn, the same name that Claire now confirms she was called before Jordan renamed her. Yes, Mariah met Claire when she was a child and did nothing. Worse, she may have helped ensure no one ever found her. The guilt that changed Mariah's life back then. Mariah was still emotionally broken, loyal to people she now knows were monsters. She'd been manipulated into believing the child was special, that she was being protected from dangerous forces, a lie that Mariah, in her youth and confusion, helped uphold. She kept the secret. She played along. She may have even helped fake documentation that buried the girl's identity. Years later, when she began healing and found her way to Sharon, the guilt followed her. But she convinced herself that Evelyn had likely disappeared or died, until she saw Claire's face. Now the past and present have collided in the most catastrophic way, and Mariah is left to ask the question no one in Genoa City wants to hear. Am I part of the reason this happened to Claire? Tessa reacts. The first fracture when Mariah finally confesses the truth to Tessa. It is not a moment of comfort. Tessa is stunned, then horrified. Because what Mariah describes isn't just a misstep, it's the kind of mistake that may have enabled a monster like Jordan to thrive. You knew. Tessa whispers. You knew she existed. You saw her living in that nightmare, and you left her there? Mariah insists she didn't know who Claire would become, that she was brainwashed, that she regrets it every single day. But Tessa, already strained from their unresolved tension over the past few weeks, can't unhear it. I don't know if I can look at you the same way again. One sentence, one shift, a fracture that could turn into a full collapse. Sharon's torn between empathy and outrage. Sharon, too, is forced to confront the unimaginable, that her daughter, who she fought so hard to reclaim, played a silent role in the captivity of the very girl Sharon is now trying to help. What's worse, Claire is beginning to bond with Sharon in ways Mariah never truly did. Sharon feels a maternal pull toward the girl, not only because she's Victoria's daughter, but because she reminds her of Cassie in spirit and vulnerability. How can Sharon support both of them now? Her instinct is to protect. But which one? Claire's reaction, pure devastation when Claire learns the truth through a confrontation she didn't see coming. She spirals. This wasn't just another betrayal. This was a reminder that her entire life has been a lie shaped by people who knew and did nothing. Her rage is volcanic. You could have saved me. You were the first person who looked me in the eye and didn't see a pawn, and you walked away. Mariah begs for forgiveness, offering everything from apologies to the truth. But Claire isn't ready. She's been betrayed by Jordan, rejected by Victor, barely embraced by Victoria. And now the one person who might have had the power to stop it didn't. I survived, but I never should have had to. The fallout, how the truth changes everything. This revelation isn't just about Claire and Mariah. It redefines several major relationships and threatens to destabilize the truce between the Newmans and the rest of Genoa City. Victor, upon learning the story, explodes. His instinct is to destroy anyone who hurt Claire, and if that includes Mariah, so be it. Victoria, torn between anger and understanding, finds herself unable to forgive or forget. Nick and Faith are stunned. Even Noah, whose own relationship with Mariah has been strained, confronts her. You always said you were a survivor, he says bitterly. But maybe you were just lucky you got out before things got as bad as they did for her. The ultimate question. Can Mariah be redeemed? The Young and the Restless has always excelled at layered redemption arcs. But this is the kind of moral ambiguity that doesn't made a choice or failed to act that directly impacted a child's trauma. And now she has to live with the fact that her silence may have empowered Jordan to operate unchecked for years longer. What does redemption look like here? Does she leave Genoa City to give Claire space? Does she fight to make amends? Or does she finally tell everyone what she did, including the authorities? Final thought? A twist that rewrites the map with one reveal. The Young and the Restless has linked two of its most emotionally potent characters in a twist that feels earned, shocking, and tragic all at once. It raises hard questions about complicity, survival, and what it really means to be better now. But more than that, it sets the stage for months of layered conflict, broken alliances, and, possibly, new bonds forged through the fire of honesty. One thing's certain. Claire's story isn't over, and Mariah's it may have just begun.